It gives me great pleasure now to call Bob Brown up. Bob, as we all know, is a grand old man of platform tennis. Bob. Audrey Vassell said you have to hold it close here. Hello, can you hear me? And if you'll continue to bow your heads, you'll hear what we have to say. First of all, I want to thank Dwayne Hayden and the tournament committee very much for giving us the opportunity to conduct this Hall of Fame induction ceremony here tonight. And I'd also like to acknowledge and thank the members of the Hall of Fame committee for their contributions to the committee's activities over the last year. Steve Baird, Scott Ponderon, Patty Hogan, Tim McAvoy, Walter Peckinpah, Deirdre Redden, and Chuck Vassell. Incidentally, I should mention that the deliberations that led up to tonight's celebration were secret, and Tim McAvoy was not a partner in that activity.
Come on, tell the truth.
The Platform Tennis Hall of Fame was established in 1965. In that first year, 10 people were inducted, including the inventors of the game, Fessenden Blanchard and James Cogswell. To date, a total of 77 people have been inducted, and tonight we will honor one more. The following is a quote from the Platform Tennis Hall of Fame Charter. Introduction into the Platform Tennis Hall of Fame is the highest honor that can be earned in platform tennis. It is presented to individuals who have achieved distinction in the play of platform tennis and/or who have otherwise contributed to the growth, development, and administration of the game. Recipients have also demonstrated a high level of integrity, sportsmanship, and consideration for others, and thus earned the respect and admiration for their endeavors in platform tennis. Unquote. Next, I'd like to acknowledge the presence this evening of a number of members of the Hall of Fame. If you're not otherwise standing, would you please stand? Alphabetically, they are Steve Baird, Flip Kutzke, Patty Hogan, Sharon Hummers, David Jelson, Scott Manziger, Fritz Odenbach, Cindy Prendergast, Chuck Vassell, and Jerry Piot. Incidentally, that group of attendees who are members of the Hall of Fame represent 30% of the living members of the Hall of Fame, which is a remarkable tribute to our inductee. And also, I would ask those members of the Hall of Fame who are here to please come forward after the presentation is concluded for a group picture.
There you go, can't hide.
Now we will proceed with the induction ceremony, and for that privilege, I am pleased to introduce Steve Baird, who will deliver the induction presentation. Thank you.
Tonight is a very special night, but before I read this induction, is that better? But before I read the induction, I want to say that I grew up in Short Hills, and for the women who are here tonight, who play on the tour or follow the tour, there was no one more supportive of that tour than Nancy Mangan. As a 21-year-old, I can vividly remember her walking up to the head of the men's tour saying, the women are going to play at 10 o'clock on Saturday or on Sunday. And she got the women in the top scene. They were represented. But prior to that, it just didn't take place. So I know Timmy and Bobo are, because of this morning of her passing, but I want to remember her and everything she did for the women's tour. And oh, by the way, 20 years ago, Nancy Mangan, Lucy Bell McAvoy, and Chuck Baird were all inducted at the Nassau Club, almost to the day, 20 years ago. So somebody's won something, I don't know. Okay, so where do you start when talking about Tim McAvoy's contributions to the game? Well, you probably start with his mom, Lucy Bell McAvoy, who was a pioneer of the game in the greater Philadelphia area and a Hall of Fame member inducted here 20 years ago at the Nationals. Paddle is clearly in his blood and frames his perspective on the game. Those who know Tim well know how committed he is to his family, and in many ways he treats paddle as an extension of his family. He won 6 national championships, 2 mixed nationals with Diane Strauss-Tucker, 4 senior nationals with John Adams, Scott Bondurant twice, and Diane Strauss-Tucker again. He won over 20 President Cup qualifier tournaments, including a stunning 14 Pennsylvania State Championships. He led Region 3 to 8 President Cup titles, and along his side were the 4 horsemen from Philly, including himself in that number. So Tim McAvoy, Red Spear, John Adams, and John Stefanik, who all drove up here this afternoon and are going back tonight. Where are you guys? They didn't know that they were called the 4 Horsemen because we were afraid to tell. We didn't want to get Johnny Adams mad. So I'm telling them tonight. So perhaps the tournament that most embodies Tim's commitment to his family and this sport is his amazing 9 MAPTA championships and 10 finals, all with his mom or his sister Laura. While Tim's playing results are impressive, he is also renowned for his leadership contributions to the game. APTA board president for the past 3 years, APT board member for 9 years, region head president for 8 years. He spearheaded tremendous growth in Region 3. He's been on the Hall of Fame committee for 8 years. He was national co-chairman with Bill Jones here 20 years ago, here on Long Island. And he also played a major role in getting Philly the opportunity to host the Nationals 3 times.
Right.
Tim's leadership style has always been characterized by the strong relationships he develops with people, whether they be tournament and league organizers, teaching pros, fellow board members, or players of all abilities, sexes, and ages. He has an amazing wife, Nancy, and 4 terrific children. And we're going to digress here for 1 minute. In fact, if it wasn't for paddle, Tim would not have met Nancy. He had just moved to Toronto. He was out for drinks and dinner at a very busy bar. And one of the women at the table said to Tim, "You're here. Look around the room and tell me who you'd like to meet tonight." Tim looked around, saw those beautiful blue eyes across the room. They met and they were married within 1 year, all because of paddle. And by the way, Nancy had been to 20 straight nationals before breaking the street to care for Tim during his battle with cancer. Tim is probably the most admired and respected person in paddle today. He bridges all the generations. There's very few people in this room that can do that. And I want to give you a few comments that Scott Bondurant, who, by the way, helped me do this write-up, from talking to fellow players, friends, and families. And so these are all quotes, more or less. He is the most modest person I know. He embraces life with boundless energy, never gets tired. He's a great partner. You play better because of him. You have fun. He blends his game to fit yours. He's a quick big man who moves like a gazelle as he blitzes to the net. That's true. This is a real quote. He has an unbelievably positive attitude. He has a special determination, and beating cancer twice with a mind over matter resolve really reflects who Tim is. And this next one is something we can all learn from, especially me. He has no temper, is gracious, win or lose. He is selfless and has no ego as a leader. His sportsmanship on the court is unmatched. He understands that paddle, at the end of the day, is about camaraderie, community, and competition. In summary, our candidate is a champion player, an exceptional leader, and finally, a true gentleman who is a role model for us all. And now, in recognition of these accomplishments, he is the recipient of the APTA's highest honor, the Platform Tennis Hall of Fame, to Thomas B. McAvoy IV.
A gazelle that needs glasses. Bob, you know a lot of things. I'm not a gazelle.
Full service.
So thank you, Steve. Thank you, everyone here, for being here and being such great friends for so many years, for so many decades. I stand here tonight humbled but extremely proud to be inducted into the American Platform Tennis Association Hall of Fame. And Sandra, you can help me anytime you want. I would like to thank Bob Brown and the Hall of Fame Selection Committee for nominating me, and to the American Platform Tennis Association Board of Directors for supporting my nomination. Platform tennis, as Steve pointed out, has been a significant part of my life. From playing this sport as a family, as a child with our family, with mom and dad and the kids, to competing in organized events since 1983. And giving back to my favorite sport is the best thing that could ever happen to me. And I had a line in here that got stolen, because I was going to say that I wouldn't have met my wife if it weren't for this sport. And it's true, and it should be pointed out that one of those horsemen, which I didn't know they were called that before tonight, but one of those horsemen, Rev Spear,
Yes.
not sure where Rev is,
Right
but
here.
Rev went to the Nationals in Cleveland, met somebody who came back to Toronto, called me up and said, I just met a buddy of yours, we got to get out and play some paddle tennis. Went out and played paddle tennis on St. Patrick's Day. And after we wrapped up the paddle, I was going back to my apartment because I didn't know anybody in Toronto. I'd been up there for 3 months. And he said, well, don't go back to your apartment. Come on out with me and my girlfriend. The three of us go to a bar, and his girlfriend in short order says, Tim, who do you think is kind of attractive in this bar? And I do point to the girl with blue eyes. She goes up to this person, kind of introduces me to her, and then she takes her friend and they go off dancing. So it was clear she wanted to ditch me, but she wanted to do it nicely. And I went up and I talked to what turned out to be my bride-to-be. So this sport has been very special. I also want to say for everybody here and for all of those who come into this wonderful sport that I love this sport. Everybody here loves this sport. It's different than so many other sports. I love competing on the court. I love the camaraderie off the court. And I love trying to figure out with my partner, because it's always a team game, how to win the last point. I love the camaraderie in the hut after the battle has ended. I love the friendships that extend over multiple decades, and new friendships formed each and every year that I play. To my three horsemen, Bear, Lefty, Rebel, we met in 1982 when I first started picking up this sport competitively, and they've become best friends over the past 30 years. And they left at 4:15 so that they could prove that in 5 hours they could go through Manhattan from Philadelphia and get here by 9 o'clock. Gentlemen, thank you. My two favorite words for this sport are competition and camaraderie. And for me, it doesn't get much better than that in any sport. And I believe all of us are blessed to have both available to us in platform tennis if we choose to embrace it. For most of the past 13 years, I've been actively involved on the APTA board. For me, this was an opportunity to give back to the sport, to our great game, and to work side by side with so many dedicated volunteers who were just as passionate about this sport as I am. To Ann Sheedy, who it was recognized truly leads the APTA, it continues to be a pleasure to work side by side with you, and thank you for all of the help you do to help us govern the